Hello, political junkies and food enthusiasts, and welcome to another episode of
Los Leftovers.
The show where we talk about food, culture, and some news you may not have yet fully digested. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Huberto.
And today we will be your cultural connoisseurs. So, let me tell you, this episode is going to be short and sweet. Well, at least this portion of it. We're going to try to keep it that way. We're going to be talking about the pop girlies, what they've been up to this summer, the mischief that they have caused, the ripples in the culture. Before we get into reactions from the debate that just happened. Oh my God. Oh my God. Crazy boots. Boots?
Boots.
Boots. But before we get into all of that, tell me, Alberto, what is on the menu today?
So today, to keep it short and sweet, we have some amazing sweets from Fair Trade Cafe. So we have a blueberry coffee cake, some pumpkin bread, and some banana bread. And yeah, I'm ready to dive into that coffee cake because it looks fueguito.
They all look good. Pumpkin that. Tell me. Let me tell you. Pumpkin that. Bump that. Pumpkin that. True. True. But no, seriously, genuinely, honestly, thoughts on short and sweet?
Ooh, I liked it. It took me a while to get into it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, not to get into like the album. It took me like a week and a half to
like
listen to actually like sit down and listen to it. But once I did, like, yeah, I was like cleaning my house and I was just like had my headphones in and stuff. And yeah, it was a bop. I think once I got to Bedchem, because I know you were talking about that song a lot. And so once, because I had already heard like Espresso and like Taste and Good Graces and stuff like that. But then when I got to Bedchem, I was like, I see why. I was that like, I don't know, that like R&B, like
text.
funky. Yeah.
I remember getting that text.
Yeah.
I know. And you know what? Yeah. And I have to admit, she did her big one with this.
Oh, yeah.
Emails I Can't Send was amazing. Love. But this...
I feel like this one really solidified her brand.
Oh, true. Truly.
Yeah.
It's so good. Personally, in my personal opinion, no skips. Maybe like maybe one song if I'm not just entirely
like one or
feeling
two
it.
that I'm
Do you know
like,
what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Slim Pickens. I don't know what it is. I
love Slim Pickens.
Not a big
Girl,
fan.
When Slim Pickens comes on, trust, give me like a big blowout. I feel like Dolly Parton. Like, I need some nails to just go.
Maybe that's what it is. It's because maybe I'm like not a big like country person, so like it's hard for me to like get into.
Anyways, you can hear it. You can hear it if you like really pay attention. Like, go back like 5 seconds and just listen and just. Anyway,
I love that song.
No, I love that song. I think it's so cute and it's just like so real because it's just like, because I can't have the one I want. I guess it'll be you that I'm kissing.
Maybe I just got to re-listen to it.
Her writing on this album. Oh,
yeah.
Let me tell you something. Ever since Short and Sweet came out, Shakespeare has been silent. He is quiet. Crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets. What do you mean? Like, excuse me, come right on me. I mean, camaraderie. Where art thou? Why not uponeth me? See it in my mind. Let's fulfill the prophecy. Said you want to be in my time zone. Oh my God. Like, oh my God. Actually,
Time game is crazy.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
The writing, phenomenal. What was another line that I loved? I can't remember. Also, no ADHD meds. So we're having factory reset Danny today, and that's okay.
And that's
so
totally okay.
My memory is also short and sweet. The fact that I was able to pull that line just tells you how impactful that album has.
Honestly, yeah. It's impressive.
Otherwise, don't know.
Yeah.
Don't. But I don't know. This summer has been, I feel like, a really big moment for a lot of different things. And I feel like just in general, like, I would say, like, for women this summer, like, fairly big. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, like, last time we talked about the Olympics and, you know, a majority of the medals won by Team USA were from our girls. Stand up USA, period. And then you know, a lot of the girlies have been having their moments in music. I feel like I would dare say it kind of started with espresso earlier on this year, like Coachella vibes, right? Espresso, we were
Yeah.
starting to get that taste. Because around that same time, Chapel released Good Luck Babe.
Yeah.
And then just like 2 months later, Charlie
Miss
released
Charles.
Brat. So I feel like, again, we've just been having this collective moment where it's just like hit after hit after hit after hit.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I've already like talked to you about this. Like, I consider them like the big three.
The big three right
the
now.
Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah.
You know, they've been like.
Truly, the colors even match. It's kind
Yeah.
of funny how that works. Yeah, but it's been so interesting seeing all of that happen, and I feel like a lot of people have had a lot to say about like certain kind of like, because all of them have been doing music for a while.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to think about like Sabrina, like, you know, child actress. Do you know what I mean? And also been this is Emails I Can't Send. People thought that was like her debut album. Girl, that was like her 4th album.
Yeah, no, I was one of those people. I didn't realize like she had like a bunch of music before that too.
Truly. And
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, Chapel had been releasing music prior to this. Like, Pink Pony Club is like, what, 2 years old? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Charlie's been in the game for a while.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
she's been
mean?
in-
So it's
yeah.
like, it's been so fascinating to see all of them kind of have this kind of now like mainstream success. Like, it feels almost like a overnight success, but not really, because if you look at like their careers, like they've been trying to make this work for a while.
I don't know. I feel like Charlie's been mainstream for a bit though.
I wouldn't really consider her like mainstream. I
No?
would still consider her like a niche artist.
Interesting.
Yeah, even now, like I feel like this summer, Brat summer, blah 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 blah. But like, ask Maddie to name like a song off the album. Do you know what I mean? Like, is he gonna be able to do it? For those that don't know, Maddie's our videographer. We love Maddie. Love you.
Maddie.
But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Because to me, I was like, when I heard "I Love It," like that's a Charlie XCX song that was like huge back in, what was it, 2013?
Girl, tell me why I thought you said I love it, and I was thinking of that song that Camila Cabello just released.
Oh, lol.
I love it, 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 I love it. Anyways, also that tea, clock that tea. Her and Sabrina, we have
Oh.
gotten the full picture. Trust, short and sweet. I don't know if that was short and sweet. Ooh. Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know there. But yeah, it's just so crazy the way like this time that we've had like over the summer, and I feel like now that like we're getting towards the end of summer, like it's almost the end of summer, it's almost
Yeah.
fall. Do you know what I mean? I feel like
Yeah, I wonder who's gonna be the pop girlies for fall.
yeah, but I feel like also we'll find out. I feel like there are a couple like people that have like some projects that are coming out later this year that I'm curious to see what happens there. But just like thinking, I feel like because we've sat with these artists for a while, I feel like people are starting to like share their opinions, which is valid, but also it's just like, girl, you were writing with her just last minute, just 5 minutes ago. Why are you pressed all of a sudden?
People are flip floppy like that.
I mean, like, you have to like think about everything that's been happening with Chapel Roan recently.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's been so annoying to see like, you know, everyone was praising her. They were like, oh my God, like
Right.
that Lollapalooza crowd was humongous. And like, I saw like the video that they released and they were like, oh my God, like everyone was doing the Hot to Go dance, XYZ.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, Hot to Go plays at my gym now. Mind you, my straight gym. I'm just chilling, minding my own business, and then
Hey,
Hot to Go
straight people
comes on.
love Hot to Go. You'd be surprised.
But no, yeah, do you know what I mean? But it's just like we're kind of entering this moment, you know, like as summer's ending, where everyone's just kind of like, oh well, like I think blah 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 blah, and I'm just kind of like, I think Chapel in particular has been getting a lot of like hate in a way that I'm just kind of like, it just feels really gross and icky.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like, girl, it's not that serious. Like she's like
Yeah.
setting her boundaries of like how she wants to interact with her, you know, fans and the audience, and like obviously like being a celebrity is not easy. Trust me, I would know.
But it's not, yeah, but it's not even like celebrity. It's just like the humanity of things. People have their boundaries, and you just have to respect them.
No, yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's just fascinating to me, like considering her to be queer. Do you know what I mean? And like, I feel like a lot of her audience is queer. Like, the call's coming from inside the house. But no, it's just kind of, it's just been interesting to watch. And it just reminds me of like how like as a society, like we really do put like this magnifying glass when it comes to like women in like high places, women in power, like where it's just like we're scrutinizing every like little thing that they do, and it's just like really annoying to watch. I feel like to a certain degree the same thing could be said about like even in politics. Obviously it's different, do you know what I mean, because it's like we should be, you know, like being honest with ourselves about what our like politicians are doing and saying, but also it's like if we're, in my personal opinion, if we're just doing too much of it, like we don't even give them a chance to like actually tell us like what they stand for and what they actually are trying to do.
I feel that,
you know.
I
don't know, it's just, it is what it is. But let me tell you, we're going to get into somebody else that was short and sweet, or at least she tried to be. I think she nailed it. Miss Kamala, Miss Coconut Tree herself. We're going to take a bite of these sweet, yummy little pastries, and we'll be back with some live, well, not live because it'll be after, obviously, but, debate reactions. And we're back live here at our debate watch party. We're about to see Kamala Harris get into it with Donald Trump. Very curious to see how things turn out. Very curious to see what she says. And honestly, most on top of everything, I just want to see what this man has to say. Because to us, we're going to have a lot of opinions. I just know it. I just know. So let's get into it. So we're about to get started with our panel. Let's see what our panelists had to say about what we just saw on that debate. Do you think that there were any missed opportunities to like push a stronger message or just like really get him there? I feel like something that I personally noticed that it was just, we were moving really quickly on it. And I feel like there was sometimes a couple moments where I was like, I wish it would have kind of like said this or said that. Do you feel like you like relate in that capacity?
You know, I feel like if we're here tonight, it's because we're a little bit of political junkies. Like, this is kind of like our Super Bowl, the thing that we care about. But the reality is that this isn't really a game. It's not a show. It's not for entertainment. It's about really what happens to the lives of millions of us, the people that we care about. What happens to me as an undocumented woman, as a queer woman. I think that there could be many opportunities for us to dig in deep and even talk more about the lives of Black people in the U.S. and the role that like Black women in particular have played in defending our democracy. And, you know, I think that that's the job of the people. These are not our saviors, either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. They're just targets for the environment that we need to create the conditions and the vision that our people deserve. And so, yeah, but I think at the end of the day, this was an opportunity for millions of people to see what the choice is in front of us.
Yeah, I think that was very beautifully put. And also, I feel like a great way to center ourselves in this moment of like, no es un juego. Like I see, like, honestly, like, yeah, there were a couple moments that were like really funny. I'm so sorry. When he was talking about transgender operations for like illegal aliens, I was like, girl, like, y el mío? I was like, but it's just like, again, it isn't like, it is funny in the moment, but we're talking about, you know, like human lives and, do you know what I mean, like the state of our country, do you know what I mean, the state of our democracy and the future of our democracy. So it is, I think, again, it was really important for us to like center ourselves in that of like, yes, and like to your point, we're never electing saviors, we're always electing targets in order to push for what our communities deserve, point blank period. So again, just in that mindset, were there any like key moments that like stood out to any of you that you guys would like to touch on?
Yeah, I think one of her greatest strengths was a bit of a double-edged sword. She did an incredible job baiting Donald Trump and finding the things that just poked him and nudged him the wrong way. When she was asked about the border, and she took a moment to take a jab at his attendance at his rallies. You know, people leaving, he's boring, that sort of thing. I mean, I thought that was a really good way to steal his attention. But I also think it was a missed opportunity to highlight that he wants to deport tens of millions of people. I also think personally that's kind of unfortunate that she, in her sprint to find universal consensus on her candidacy, that She is so quick to shed her progressive
I agree.
base that exists. I don't think it's anything to brag about that we have the most lethal military in the United States. I don't think protecting private insurers is the way to go. I mean, if you're going to cap drug costs, maybe universal health care is an effective way to do that. And I don't think those are things that she should shy away from. I don't think that's going to cost votes. I think that's going to encourage people. And yeah, I mean, I could say some more. The discussion on Palestine was lacking in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex, anything you'd like to add?
No, I agree. Specifically on the immigration piece, I think she's a daughter of immigrants, and she's first generation. And Democrats should not allow themselves to be brought to the middle when the right is so extreme and so racist and so horrible. And so we shouldn't stoop to their level. And she kept naming that, right? Like he was morally decrepit, but yet we're sort of like playing to that a little bit. So that was disappointing. But I also think that he was speaking to his base.
Yeah.
That was very clear. He was sending a clear message. He wasn't acknowledging her. So in every attempt, he was trying to dehumanize her. He wouldn't say her name. And so we were seeing a lot of the ugliest parts of him also play out in real time. And so I think people should pay attention to that.
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to touch on there, Alex, with you in particular, and I feel like conversations that we just in progressive spaces that we tend to have is something that like you've noticed and that we've noticed, you know, as an organization, and I feel like you could say the same thing at UWD, is that I feel through these conversations, most times like Democrats and Kamala Harris in particular get drawn to like the middle, or get drawn to the center, like almost baited necessarily. And I would like to kind of know, like, in your personal opinion, like through like the work that you've done as a ED and, you know, like through all the other work that you've done in Arizona through different elections and lo que sea, how we can like properly like combat that. Do you know what I mean? I feel like sometimes it's really easy to like follow into it of like no, or like to Cameron's point of like shedding her like more progressive side to kind of like try to speak to a broader audience. But yeah, I wanted to know maybe like your opinion on that.
I think it's a complicated question because the work hasn't stopped, right? Like there's been 10 years of organizing. Our communities have been fighting. We were able to get DACA. We have one of the foremost leaders here that was part of that movement. And we're still fighting. The fight doesn't stop. But what's also true is the electorate is changing. And so the reason that we have Kamala now is because young people spoke out and said that the previous president was insufficient. And now we have Kamala, and so there's a real opportunity because what people are looking for is authenticity. People are looking for facts. People are looking for real policies because people are feeling real pain. And so I think this is an opportunity for people to understand what Grace had just named, is that these folks are not our saviors, but this is the opportunity for us to all feel invited into the political arena. And for us to take our agency and be able to get activated and let this be the starting point, because the only way that anything will change in this country is if we actually bring about the change.
Can I add something on that?
Absolutely.
Cool. I think it's really important, in addition to everything Alex said, is to remind these politicians, as we're holding them accountable, to let them know that these progressive policies and progressivism as a whole is very popular. You know, people want universal health care. People want a pathway to citizenship for immigrants and DACA recipients. They want humane solutions to help people at the border. Every time abortion access is on the ballot, it wins by crazy numbers.
Yeah.
Like, these aren't unpopular things. Unpopular things are talking about Ohioans eating dogs in ridiculous things, and that's talking to a base that isn't going to budge. So trying to move to the middle to encourage a cemented base elsewhere to come your way is only going to have you keep pulling yourself instead of pulling them. And so I think backing strong policy and holding people accountable when politicians shy away from that is going to help to move things the way they need to go.
Yeah. I feel like, again, Trump said a lot of crazy things, a lot of like nasty things. I was like, there were moments where I was like, I cannot believe like this is real. Like I almost had to like pinch myself. I'm like, did he actually just say that? I feel like, again, as we're talking about like how we're, like dealing with that, just like, I guess maybe like in your personal opinion, like how have you seen like the rhetoric that he has used like affect like our communities and the way that we kind of like talk about ourselves?
I guess I'll say a couple of things. The first is that Donald Trump is he's like a visible like manifestation of a hundreds of years strategy by people that would want to keep women, Black people, Indigenous people like at the just the mercy of what the white vision of America is. I just want to be really clear, like there is a 50-year strategy and an infrastructure that has been built over decades that has allowed him to now emerge. And I think that but they're not invincible. They're just human beings like any of us. And we also have had 100-year strategies and visions that have allowed for us to build movements like the one that Lucha represents here in Arizona that have turned the tides of the lies that they try to tell us about ourselves, that we are not enough, that we should be hiding in the shadows of our closets, that we should not say that we're undocumented and unafraid, that we should not be proud of of who we are. And so part of what we have to do is to remind ourselves that we're not just, as Alex was saying, like consumers of policy or politics. We are protagonists in it. And then our protagonism part of it has to like be able to be really grounded in the fact that we deserve a good, clean water and an earth, that we deserve the ability to travel and to work and to decide to stay in the home that you want, that we deserve the ability to make mistakes and also find redemption in those mistakes. And so I think that, yes, the election is an important moment. Yes, we're doing everything we can to ensure that people understand what's the choice in front of them. And the work that we're doing today is generational work. It's going to require 10 years, 20 years to continue to build the power that we need. But we can change it because they're not infallible people. They're not superhuman.
Yeah, I get that. I think back to like the topic of immigration, at least in Arizona, I feel like it's always been a really big topic. And to a certain degree, I mean, it's like why our organization like Lucha exists. You know what I mean? It literally from the lucha of against, like racist immigration policies towards our communities. I feel like, again, that was a really big topic that I feel like they continue to cover, especially in the debate. How do you feel like Harris like handled that situation and those conversations about immigration policy?
I think we know that white Christian nationalists use immigration, not only here in the U.S., but across the globe, and immigrants to win power. They think that that's like their favorite sort of like line of attack. And you saw him. He talked about healthcare, immigrants. He talked about like the economy, immigrants. And that's why it's a tired but effective strategy. I think that this is where the complications of holding multiple truths shows up for all of us. Again, there are no saviors in this work. And when Vice President Harris said that she was going to sign the bill on the border as soon as she became, like, she forgot about us. She forgot that we're going to stop her, and that she forgot that we're going to be ensuring that like there's not a progress in that. And so I think that is why it's important to see ourselves as protagonists of history and of politics, that just because they promise those things on stages, it is our job to make the things that they promise that further our vision and like the livelihood of our people a reality, and for the things that they say that are going to harm our folks to make it neutral and not move forward. So that's our job, and that's why the work continues.
Yeah.
I think what encourages me is, what's your name? Yeah, Cami. Cami found us on Instagram. And she said, let me go because I want to actually be in community with people while I watch this complicated debate. And so it's those folks that step into that because she didn't know who was going to be here. But that is courage. And so it is the people that will be the change bearers in this country. And it will be people like Kamala that are going to be the antithesis of what Trump is trying to build, which is he has already promised that he wants to eliminate voting. He promised that he wants to move mass deportation. And the truth and the history about Arizona is that we have actually seen mass deportation here.
Mm-hmm.
Right up in Morenci and Marana and all of these places, there were trains that took our people back to Mexico. And so for us, also more recent, SB 1070.
Yeah.
And now even more recent, another attempt by the right. It's the way that they try to use immigration to galvanize their base. And what we saw again in him speaking to his base is he was just inciting fear of the other. And I believe that people see through that. And I also believe that the people want more substantive discourse. And they are also paying attention to what Project 2025 is. And so we should have leaned into that more and drawn that out so that people can understand how scary of a future it is. If you're on the fence and you hear about what Project 2025 is and what his plan is, I guarantee that will get you off the fence.
All great points. In that spirit, do we think that there was anything that she really did nail though? Like when she did respond to something where you're like, oh, like she got him good there, or conversely, like something where we're like, ooh, try again next.
I mean, maybe it's because I'm not from Pennsylvania and I don't understand what's going on out there. But I wish she would just let fracking go. Yeah. Like they kept going back, and sure, I mean, I don't. Over my head. I don't know. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, same. I was kind of like, she already said that she actually will keep fracking. So I think that is like an issue that we have to interrogate more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the response she gave was not ideal because fracking is destructive to the environment. And
absolutely.
It's applicable to what she discussed about climate change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he was trying to like lie and say that she wasn't, when in fact she is.
Right. Well, a few times when he was telling the truth.
So again, yeah, I feel like there were moments, there were things that were said that were good, there were things that were interesting, there was a lot where I was so confused. What's going on? Where did we get here? How did we get here? How do we get back? Well, we're not going back. That's true. Period. Absolutely. So in the spirit of all of that, what would you say like are just like main key takeaways that like you would think that like the average Arizona voter would like take from this, and what would you want, an average Arizona like voter to take away from this?
She was speaking to some of the core issues that Arizonans are grappling with right now, the housing,
mm-hmm.
being able to provide first-time home buyer credits for folks that are seeking to be able to own a home, I think would be tremendous. And so I know that went a long way for folks here in Arizona. I think also she was talking about the environment. I think she could have gone a little bit deeper there,
mm-hmm.
a lot more deep. But I think by and large, she was able to disrupt his lies, talk about abortion, which is also another core issue that Arizonans care about. Specifically Latinos, 70% of Latinos here in Arizona support abortion. And so we're going to see a lot of the core issues. And to your point, right, like Arizonans care about the issues. By and large, minimum wage was a top vote getter in 2016. We're going to see that again with abortion. And I'm confident that voters are going to see who's supporting reproductive health care access and who is a person that stacked the Supreme Court and was trying to politicize the Supreme Court in all of his remarks and rhetoric here.
Yeah, I think the number one thing people are going to take away is essentially the number one thing we got from the previous debate, which was Biden was very old, maybe he shouldn't be running. She was not that.
Mm-hmm.
She was strong, she was confident, she knew what she was saying, she could take him at every turn, and she provided a very beautiful path to the future.
Yeah.
I also, just like what Alex said, abortion is obviously on the ballot here in Arizona, and so I think hearing certain things like how Donald Trump wants, through Project 25 and his agenda, wants to monitor women who receive reproductive health care or seek it or even get experience a miscarriage. I think that knowing a little bit about her housing plan was enough to pique their interest. And I think as Arizona is kind of a hotbed for scammy colleges that rip people off, from ITT Tech to GCU, no offense to anyone in the room, yeah, they lost some lawsuits. No, but hearing that college should be free, and I mean, I wish she would have mentioned how many millions of people her and the Biden administration have forgiven student debt for.
That's true.
Because that is an accomplishment. I mean, they didn't get it done because of
The right-wing Supreme Court. Clock that T.
They didn't give up and say, well, I have a concept of how I can fix student loan debt. They kept poking at it and finding ways to give this group student debt relief, this group student debt relief. And so I think that does hit home for a lot of people.
Mine got
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I think the thing I'll add is that though we weren't like on the stage with them, you could see how social movements have shaped the constraints of the debate. That we're talking about like the solutions for climate change is because young people, like black, brown young people here in the state of Arizona. I'm a new Arizona. I just moved in January, so I'm like really excited to be here. But it's been because of the movement and the clarity and the push of young people that we like have a conversation about what's happening in climate change. It is also because of the success of immigrants and undocumented young people and our families that we've been able to have a debate on immigration. Even because they're so scared of our power. So I just want to give a shout out to all of the conversation on Palestine is because of the uncommitted vote and many, many other people that have taken to the streets. And that's our legacy, that's our work.
Period. So last question for our panelists. Obviously, we're talking about our Arizona voters. So in your guys' opinion, how do we take what we saw tonight and turn it into real momentum on the ground in Arizona? What should organizers, like volunteers, like how should they be having and holding conversations with our Arizona voters?
We have to reach every single person. And we have to reach every single person, not just for this election, but for the elections to come. And the way that we're going to reach every single person that we can touch is friends, family. Call them, remind them that they matter, have the conversation. It starts with a simple curiosity. And then it starts also by telling people that they actually matter. And there are elections that were won by 34 votes. And so we need to be able to demonstrate to our communities that they actually do matter significantly. There are people that right now, they're so disconnected from politics that it's gonna take a friend to reach out to them, and then a friend of a friend of a friend to reach those folks that like, politics aren't on their radar at all. They might not even know Kamala is running. Mm-hmm. They might not even realize that Trump is like the person, and they just know him from the show that he was on where he used to fire people. And so those are the people that we actually have to reach, because those are the folks that are most affected by the failed policies of a Trump administration and by the policies that the legislature here in Arizona will pass next year. And so their voice matters in this process.
I think one of the most important things we can do is recently there's been a reporting on how a lot of reporters and the press and media and by extension people who then talk about what they saw in the news do, which is sane washing Donald Trump, making the bizarre, incoherent things he says seem normal, trying to interpret and decipher, like, oh, he actually meant this and this and this. Whereas what we found in our reporting at the Cover Courier is the most effective way to reach voters is to speak in plain, simple, blunt terms.
Yeah.
Show those clips of him almost saying words that he probably wanted to say but knew he shouldn't, and making these outrageous claims and not trying to explain it in a way that makes you sound intelligent at the expense of also making him sound intelligent. Just give people that information straight, clear, unpolished, and that's what gets them to pay attention, because they might not know that Donald Trump is running, but when they see that, they'll definitely make a decision on whether or not they want to vote for him.
The only thing I'll say is something that Arizona has taught me and why I've decided to move here is the role of joy and spiritual resilience as a strategic framework. I've seen the parties that y'all throw here as like we're getting ready for the elections. I remember seeing the images of people taking over the Capitol when SB 1070 was there and praying and having food. That is clear as that the Harris campaign has seen that, and that she's demonstrating herself as a joyful candidate, as a woman that can smile and like laugh in the face of such absurdity and also deep threat and danger for all of us. And so I guess the one thing that I'll say is, as I know we're closing down, is just to say thank you to all of you that are here today. For those that came and you didn't know anyone, for those of us that have been in many election cycles and sometimes it's hard to not be jaded, for the family members that are holding it down at home right now while you're here today, the thing that brought you here, the thing that keeps keeping you here past this time, is like our belief that we deserve better, that our people deserve better. We're agents of being able to do that. And that, no matter what happens in politics, that's gonna be the thing that saves us all. Community is the antidote.
I love that answer. Oh my God. Again, obviously, thank you guys so much for staying. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this journey with us. It will be a night to remember. The only thing I would like to continue to just kind of like spread and just, with all the conversations that we're having, obviously we're so close to the elections. Make sure that you guys are staying involved, aware, active, all of it. Feel free to check out our organizations, United We Dream and United We Dream Action and Lucha Arizona. So that's it. That's all, folks. Well, that was a lot. Thank you to our friends Cover Courier and Progress Arizona and United We Dream Action for being part of this event. We will leave all their deets in the video, in the audio. I'll try my best. Follow them on Instagram. I don't really know, but trust, they got our backs, we got their backs, and we're just going to continue to get into it this election cycle. Period. Hasta luego. Bye bye.